So we're gonna get Darin up this morning. This is Darin's bed. I'll kind of go over that in just a little bit. We've already had our thyroid medicine because you have to take it a half hour before you eat any breakfast or anything like that. I've went ahead and changed his diaper. That's just our morning routine. And then usually we kind of pick out clothes for the day. Mostly in the summer, we stay in our pajamas because it's just more comfortable that way. But we do kind of switch shirts. So Darin, let's get your shirt out and see what you want to wear today. And I usually it's easier for him if I give him a choice of two so he can pick. Which shirt do you want to wear today? That one? Okay. So we'll put that on you later. And then we get in our wheelchair. Darin usually stays in his wheelchair if he's not at school, usually when he's home from the morning time until about 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. After that, we have to get him out of the chair, and usually we set him on the floor on a mat because the circulation in his feet makes his feet a little purple. You ready? So we're going to transfer you. Let me bring this up here just a little bit closer. I'm going to transfer you into your chair. You ready? You're going to help. See? There we go. Okay. And then we get another sip of juice just to wash down that thyroid medicine. Make sure we got it all the way down our throat. And then we head to the kitchen. So we're in the kitchen. Darin rolled himself in here, which he can do very well. He typically, no matter what house we've ever lived in, he picks a room and claims it for his own. When we built the house and moved over here, he claimed the kitchen. Darin's very food motivated with things and very scheduled with his food. So him being in the kitchen allows him to let us know when he's ready for his next meal or next drink or whatever it is. So he typically just wheels himself back and forth in the kitchen. He has started to venture out into the living room and things like that. It takes him a long time. We've noticed when we've moved houses, I think we've moved houses total of 3 times throughout Darin's 21 years. And it takes him a couple years before he leaves the room that he designates as his. Every so often we can get him motivated enough to wheel himself back to the bedroom to get ready for the night, or even sometimes to the bathroom. But typically we have to guide him to where we need him to go throughout the house. Now, school is a different story. Darin's a little bit more independent at school. It's not that we enable him here at home, but he is very used to us doing certain things for him, and he will let us do them for him if he can get away with it. So that's kind of what our morning looks like. And then we start getting ready to eat our breakfast. Okay, as I mentioned before, I'm going to talk a little bit about Darin's bed. It is a pretty spectacular bed. I think we received it when Darin was between the ages of 3 and 4. We needed something to help with him being in bed and being safe, not able to fall out of it or get out of it, so I could sleep in my own room. Previous to him having this bed, we used to have a futon mattress on the floor in the living room with pillows all around the couches in the entertainment center, so he would be able to sleep safely. Darin's a very light sleeper, and sometimes he does sleep folded over, like he sits Indian style, and then will lay his stomach over top of his legs. Here in the past few recent years, as he's gotten older, he does kind of sleep on his belly or on his side. So that's been kind of nice. The bed is called a Veil bed. It was actually made in a company in Toledo, Ohio. They made them twin size and also infant size. Unfortunately, this company is no longer around anymore due to a lawsuit. call it what you will, parent negligence or company misinformation. What ended up happening is that I'm not sure if it was an infant or a child, but they were put to bed in one of these beds. And there is a little gap, as you can see from Darin's blanket going down in there. But the parents did not put the side rail up. So it left a gap in between the mattress and this netting. And the child, whether, like I said, an older child or an infant, ended up suffocating and they died. So unfortunately, they sued the company, and this company's no longer around to provide this for people like Darin that actually really needs it. It is like a hospital bed setting. We have replaced the mattress. It came with a really hard plastic mattress that we let Darin sleep on for years, but we recently upgraded to a foam mattress because sometimes, every so often, not so much anymore, but when Darin was really little, there were nights that he did not sleep, and like I said, I'll go over that more in this video, but I had to sleep with him sometimes, or when he's sick. And the plastic mattress, once you're 40, just doesn't get it. So we replaced it this year. But the bed does crank up. The head of it will go up, just like a regular hospital bed. All these rails in here are padded with like kind of like car foam padding that you would see on a roll cage. This bed does zip completely up. I'll go over that part with you because it's kind of was a little bit of a aggravation for me. As your child that special needs gets older, you tend to have people in your home to evaluate you for things. Whether it is a waiver that you're trying to apply to help get medical help for equipment, or when they turn 18, you apply for guardianship and they come out and inspect your home. So I was informed a few years back that this bed can be considered as a restraint, because if you zip somebody up in it, they are not able to get out from the inside. So the state can typically, ding people for that. I probably could come in and take a child away for that. However, when Darin was younger, there was no other way for him to sleep safely. So now that Darin's older and we kind of known him for a long time and his routine, we do tend to keep the flap open down here, because so we don't get dinged by the state and stated that we're restraining our son. We're not really restraining anybody. It's more of a safety issue. This bed did come with outlets if the child had tubing and needed medical tubing for anything. But it does have side rails all the way around, and it used to come in a variety of different colors, so you can pick your own color. It's a pain in the butt to disassemble, and it's extremely heavy. It is a solid bed. We keep a blanket over the top because Darin goes to bed really early. He probably goes in bed about 5:30, 6 p.m. He doesn't really go to sleep till later, but we keep the light on in here until about 9:30 till he is really went to bed. So with that, I kind of threw the blanket up over the top of it to keep the light out of his eyes. We also use a rainbow vacuum cleaner. I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with those. They're kind of like a sales gimmick. People come into the home and they sell them. They're water-based. You put water in the bottom of the bowl, and it's actually a really good product. They've been around for a long time. It traps the dirt into the water versus a regular vacuum cleaner that disperses the dust that you suck up in the vacuum cleaner back out into the air. You can also add things in there like essential oils and stuff like that. It's an extremely expensive vacuum. CJ and I kind of got into it, I think it was probably 15 years ago, but we bought one. We keep it in Darin's room as like a sound machine, because he is a light sleeper. So we turn it on low, and that kind of drowns out the noise of the rest of the house or dogs barking outside. And we put the blind on the window to block out the light since he does go to bed so early. I will tell you that CJ and I had kind of a hiccup when we built this house. Ideally, we wanted Darin's room to be the most soundproof room in the house. And because it is a pole barn house, our walls are 6 inches thick. And when you build a house on your own, you kind of gotta do things when you have help. And the day that the drywall went up, it was a very quick process. And I was putting the insulation in as CJ and my family and his family was coming along behind me putting the drywall up. And we got finished doing the outside walls and we realized we had a bunch of insulation left over. Well, the insulation was supposed to be doubled up since we had 6 inches walls. So we kind of messed up on that part, learning experience. However, our house, between the pole barn wrap and the insulation, it stays extremely well insulated for the winter. Best heating and cooling we've ever had. But the noise part, still some of it does come through, like if a neighbor's dog is barking. So the sound machine really helps with that. We also always keep a humidifier in the rooms. We have one in every room in our house. In the wintertime, your heating system dries out your mucous membranes. In order to prevent colds and infections, it's just even if your kid's not special needs, it's a good rule of thumb to keep those around, especially in the wintertime or when somebody gets sick. So yeah, that's kind of how Darin's room's set up. It's opened. We don't keep a whole lot of things in here. He doesn't spend a whole lot of time in here unless he's sick. And with the wheelchair and everything like that, we just kind of keep it opened. Things just kind of continue to get better. There was a period where Darin didn't have any screaming fits for a couple years. And if he did, it was usually because he was sick or he had came in contact with something he wasn't supposed to come into. I would get videos from the school from him walking and I got to see that and see him transition. So that was really exciting that I actually got to see it.
Not just hear about it.
Not just hear about it. They started sending the communication device home and that's been interesting. So when COVID hit, it was a blow for him not to be at school. It was really hard on him. It made him take some steps backwards. We had to do some homework here in the house. Allie kind of took charge with that. I don't think we would have made it through without Allie doing that.
Big help.
She presented it to him in a way that he could pick up on it real quick, and they were able to complete the work. And I think he was one of the only students, or only a couple of students, that had completed it at the end of that year. And like I said, he did kind of take some steps back. I know last summer was a big one. He wasn't sleeping a lot and we struggled with that, and we kind of changed some things this year, and he is doing a lot better with being at home. This is his last year coming up of school that he's allowed to be at school, because you're only allowed to go until you're 22, and if you choose not to graduate with your graduating class and choose to stay at the development school until 22, you have to graduate with them. You don't get to walk with your class. So that was interesting. And we had to apply for guardianship for him when he turned 18, because if we don't, then technically if he was to go into the hospital, they can make decisions and we would not be allowed to. So we had to apply for a guardianship over our own kid. So that was a process. We still, had the IEP stuff, and sometimes that's hard. I think I've only been through one really hard IEP, and that was one year when Darin was really young. And an IEP is like a meeting where all the school staff and everybody sits together and you come up with the year plan on what the goals are. And during that particular rough meeting, I had a therapist get on me about Darin's weight and wanted him to see a nutritionist and all this other stuff. And I tried explaining it to her. We're doing what the doctor advised, and it's part of his illness, and that she kind of needed to just butt out. And that was the end of that. And Darin ended up gaining weight shortly after that. He is getting bigger. We are getting older. It has become really hard for me to transfer him or carry him like I used to. I still get him in and out of the bathtub and in and out of the car, but I don't carry him like I used to. I think I quit that when he was about 15. I just couldn't do it safely anymore. It has taken a toll physically on my back and my right side of my body from where I carried him on that side for such a long time. So some days that's painful, but you just keep moving. You put ice packs on it and go. CJ kind of, has helped out with the bathing or getting him in and out of the car. And as you've probably seen on the video, getting him in and out of the RV. It used to be I would do that. I wouldn't ask, let CJ do whatever he's doing. I would take care of it. But I've had to kind of let other people help out with that. Even Allie has learned how to transfer him. And that's been helpful for me because I did carry Darin for 15 years of his life. So yeah, physically it's gotten harder for me to take care of him. So people have stepped up, and like I said, I carried him for 15 years. And not to discredit Darin or to put him down, because I don't want to do that. But he'll be 21 this year, and I don't think people realize that in some sort of way, he's not an infant. He is very much an adult mentally, but his care requires care like an infant. Every 2 hours he gets something, whether it's a snack or a diaper change or a transfer or this or that. And I've been doing that for 21 years. And when your kids are younger and they're baby, you're kind of like, oh, okay, they're going to grow out of this. They're going to be able to, get their own snack or go to the bathroom on their own. With Darin, we have not got to experience that. Now, with that being said, I think I've been away from Darin maybe a handful of times in his 21 years. I've taken a vacation on a weekend with Allie, a friend. CJ and I have been on a couple, and then last year it was the first time I was gone for longer than a week. I took my parents out west, and that was the first time I've ever been away from him that long in 21 years. And the fact that I was able to complete that whole trip and CJ and Allie to not have one issue at all the whole time I was gone, it says a lot how far Darin has come in his ability to grow and things like that.
Don't say nothing about CJ and Allie. No, I'm kidding.
Well, you forget things. You're not.
That's where Allie comes in.
I know, because Darin's very scheduled, and CJ kind of forgets. He gets lost in his time realm of what time is supposed to go. But they did just fine. They had a good time because CJ's the fun one. I'm not. So yeah, there's been a lot of that. Darin enjoys the racetrack. He likes speed just like his dad does. He loves going down hills on snow tubes. I think it was 2018 per my recording. I had always asked Darin for Christmas what I wanted him to give me for Christmas, is I wanted him to say Mom. And in 2018, when he was 17, at Christmas I got that gift. It came back from snow tubing, and I'm not sure if it was that triggered it or it was something else. I'll never know. But he said Mom for a good 2 or 3 months. So I was happy with that because I didn't think he was ever going to say it. So yeah. So it's been a long haul. There's a lot of things that we went through. We've had a lot of help with a lot of people, and some people that just weren't able to be there, some people that don't understand it. But that's just kind of our story and what works for us. I'll show you, kind of some things that we use around here that kind of help out with Darin. But
still a lot is manual. We don't have any gadgets and gadgets.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. And eventually we'll probably need more help. It's going to be hard for us because we've been doing it so long with just the group that we have. Allie wants to be here for that. I don't want to put that burden on her. I've talked with several different people that, you know, with kids with special needs, it either goes one way or another when you have other children. Either they feel neglected and resentful, or they do really, really well with it. And Allie, for the most part, there's been some struggles on some things, but she knocked it out of the park. She loves him to death. So I think the future planning is to probably move Darin into a trailer or something on the property when he gets older, that's all handicap accessible, when it gets to the point where CJ and I are too old to take care of him, and hire and help. I think that would be the long-term goal. The short-term goal is this year, like I said, is his last year of school, so we're going to have to figure out if he's going to go to adult daycare or how that's going to work and what I'm going to do as employment. So that's going to be a big adjustment for us in moving that forward. We're excited to have him with the races with us now. He really liked that. He was up a little bit later than he would like to be, but he did really good with it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I don't know. Guess having Darin, what do you think you've learned the most about having Darin as a son? What has it taught you the most?
Struggles. I'm kidding. I really don't know on that. Like, it's had to adapt to it so early that it's life.
Yeah. I think for me, the biggest thing I learned about it is don't look at everybody the same. You don't know what somebody's going through at home. And in other kids, I can see things with other kids that other people might not understand. Just because of being through with the things we have with Darin, it makes me a little bit more aware of quirks and tics that kids might have that parents might not recognize with, or diet. I'm really good with diet since Darin's diet is so restricted and everything like that. So yeah, so that's kind of it. That's where he is. We've been through a lot with him. We don't go to the doctor hardly much anymore except for once a year. I know I think he was 16. I took him back to Children's. He was sick one night, and they put me in a room with a couch and a camera. And I just thought it was because all the other rooms were filled up. I didn't really understand it, and I was in there with Darin for hours, and it got to the point where I was in there so long, I started to peek out the door and I realized everybody else was gone. And I finally hit the button and I was like, hey, are you going to move us to the room where the doctor sees us? And they were like, yeah. Well, then I had just like this epiphany of explosion. They had me in that room because they were watching me from when Darin was little, and they thought that I was making him sick. They had that marked on his chart. And I had no idea all those years until that moment that that's what that was about. And that was upsetting. I came home and told CJ about it, and now he doesn't go back to Children's because he's an adult, so I don't have to deal with that anymore. But it was very upsetting to know that something, his sickness and being in the hospital so much when he was little caused them to think that, and 16 years later, they still had that in his chart. So he ended up getting some IV fluids that night, sent home, and he was fine. I think he was a little dehydrated or something, but Yeah, that was an eye-opener. So another thing that I don't think I mentioned is that when I was going through nursing school in that process, I was doing research for papers and stuff like that. And when I was doing research, my dad was on the military base Camp Lejeune. And I've known about it for years, about the water contamination. I'm sure you're all seeing it on the ads now or on Facebook now. And excuse me, it's become a lot more popular and a lot more knowledge has been brought out about that. My dad, like I said, he has a claim on it. He'll probably never see anything from it. From what I've been told from other people, you had to have cancer or something like that in order for them to give you a settlement. But I was doing some research about it when I was going through nursing school, and when I found out what the contaminated on that military base was, I got to looking at Darin's medical records. And when I pulled up that hair sample test that Darin had so many years ago, that contaminant that is on that military base was in Darin's hair sample test. Now, my family did live on that military base, but I was not born until my mom got pregnant with me 2 years after they moved from that base. However, they say that that contaminant can alter your DNA. I will never probably ever be able to prove that that's what it was that caused Darin's chromosome disorders. I will tell you that the contaminant in there that causes some of the issues is the exact same protein that is the deleted part in Darin's chromosome. I have it saved somewhere on a file, but like I said, there's no way that it would cost us thousands of dollars to battle.
More than thousands.
It would be a lot of money to battle that, and we know where we are with Darin. We don't know what the future holds, because you just don't know that anyways with anything. But we know where we are. We're focused on him and his daily life and the quality of life. I don't want to go through all of that just to get some money. Even though he's entitled, if that's what caused it, and it is very similar. I don't even think I've even discussed this part with my parents. So I don't even think that they know that. But it is the same protein that's missing in Darin's DNA that was caused from that. And I'm pretty sure that's what caused my platelet disorder. So even though, like I said, my mom didn't get pregnant with me till 2 years after they moved off that base, it does affect your DNA. And they lived on it for quite a many years. So that water, they bathed in it, they drank it back in those days. So it was very much in my mother's system. So just some information on that. And I think that if Darin's digestive disorder would have been caught a lot sooner with formulas and stuff like that and the food, I think Darin would have progressed a little bit better with that. If you ask me if I have any regrets, I don't think I have regrets with Darin. There are a lot of things I feel like I could have done better with him, with walking or more use of the communication device. But the thing about having a kid that's special needs, you get so busy in just trying to get through each day when they're sick, that when they're not sick, those good days turn into weeks, and those weeks turn into years, and before you know it, time has just continued to go on, and there's some things you can't go back and change. So just like anybody, we could have done some things different and done things better, but I think we did a pretty good job.
I think so.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's still here, he's still with us, and doctor said he wouldn't be, so.
Hopefully for a long time.
Yep, for sure, because Allie will probably, move away for a while for college or have her own family, but Darin will always be here with us. So, it'll just be 3 and 4 sometimes. 3 and 4.
3 and 4.
Yep. Me, you, and Darin when she's not here, and when she's here, 4. Yep. So, we'll have Allie give her opinion on it, and Life with Darin too in the video, so you can kind of see her side of it, because that's interesting to see being a sibling, and what her take is on it. But if you guys have any questions, or if we left anything out, which I'm sure we have because it's a big story, just let us know. We'll try to answer for you. And if you're just watching for racing, this probably isn't the video for you.
Probably should skip it.
Skip it. We'll do more of the racing, but we had a large request for us to tell our story, so that's what we're doing with this. And if you don't like it, you don't like it. If you do, then great. So more racing to come. And
realistically, if this isn't your thing, just maybe keep your opinion to yourself and move on to the next one to do with the car or the racing or whatever. We don't need any backlash or any haters on this. This is our life up to this point in life. It's not a movie or anything like that. So do appreciate y'all watching and sticking with us, and thank you.
Yeah, and you got to see it all, even the tough parts. So we're pretty open book people. We'll share anything, mostly.
They haven't got to see me throat chop you yet.
Let's not do that today. Save it for another day where I'm feeling feisty. All right, we'll see you soon. Okay, Al, what is some things that you would like for people to know about Darin that they might not know?
Some things I think people should know about him is that just because he's different, it doesn't mean that he's broken. I have so many memories with him, like it's insane. Whenever we were real little, I don't even know how old we were, I used to get so mad at him because he would pull my hair, and that will stick with me for forever. And just because he can't do everything that everyone else can, it doesn't mean that he can't make those memories like everyone else. He is still hilarious. He'll make like little looks at you like that will make your day. Or he'll do little things like there was one time, I just remember this. There was one time he opened the garage door, and we used to have a ramp in there, and he wheeled himself out of the door, and we were lucky that we caught it in time, or else he would have went down the ramp by himself. Like nobody even knew about it. But yeah, and I don't know. It's just, yeah.
How do you feel when your brother comes to one of your school events and other people stare at him? There's a cricket in here.
So I think it was middle school. He came to one of my volleyball games, and it was so weird because like he usually doesn't come to volleyball games. Like volleyball games is a bunch of loudness, the balls are bouncing, everything's like going on. But whenever like music, like warm up music or timeout music or whatever was playing, he would like go crazy, like in a good way. And it was nice seeing him there. Whenever I'd go back to serve, I'd look over there and he'd be there smiling and everything. It was just nice to know that he doesn't have to be locked up in a house all day. He can actually like go places, and it's just nice for him to, I feel like it's nice for him to interact with other people without even talking to them in a way.
Okay. How has having your brother in your life changed how you look at other people or other situations?
I feel like there's those days, there's those times where I'm just like in a bad mood. Like I will say some things that I probably shouldn't say. But in certain situations, I do get a little protective over people, even if I don't really know them, if that makes sense. Like especially whenever I was younger, I would like hear someone say something to somebody, and I'd like just go off. I'd be like, you should, like, how would you feel if that was you in that situation? And I don't know, it makes you realize that you have to live everything to the fullest, and if you don't, then that could change in a split second. And it also made me feel like it made me feel for other people more. I know that sounds really weird, but I feel like if somebody's like over there in the corner like breaking down, I can't just like ignore that. I have to go over there and I feel what they're feeling in that situation. I feel sad. I feel upset if somebody is crying, and it makes me cry too. I can't just ignore that, because I feel like if there was those times whenever like Darin would scream sometimes, and it just make me feel terrible. Like, I feel terrible about myself. There was a couple times where I had to leave the house and hang out with Dad because I couldn't deal with it. I don't even know how Mom dealt with it. Like, that would just tear me to pieces. And I feel like I put all those feelings to help other people. So, yeah. It's really weird, but at the same time, I feel like it's a good characteristic of mine.
Is recognizing that in other people.
Yeah, and being able to relate to people a lot easier than most. And I have gotten a lot better at watching what I say.
I think it's given you this keen sense on observing other people and their actions and feelings and being able to identify with them, maybe.
Because especially with Darin, like with him not being able to talk to us that much, you have to see what he's doing physically. And sometimes, like, whenever he'll like rub his nose or something, it'll mean he's upset. And you just have to like notice those little things in order to know what he's feeling.
Okay, last question. Because your brother's older and he is a boy, he was not able to do all the sports that normal kids do. And you do every sport that you can, and you are a real stickler about trying to overachieve on those. Do you feel like having Darin be special needs affects that anyway?
So, I don't think my parents know this, but whenever I was little, I would try to do everything that my brother couldn't. Basically just to, like, if he could come to events or whatever, he could still be in that, like, atmosphere. Like, I remember whenever I played softball, a bunch of memories right now, but whenever I played softball, he'd, like, sit in the car, not go out there. Well, sometimes he would, but usually he'd sit in the car in the air conditioning if it was really hot, and he'd just watch. And I had this hope in my head that he would watch me do something and he would like try to repeat it or replicate it. And I just hoped so much that he would be able to do things with me someday. So yeah.
So is that why it's hard when other kids talk bad about their siblings?
Yeah, a lot. Honestly, some people that I used to be really close with, I get along better with their siblings now than they do themselves. I really don't think kids nowadays appreciate their siblings and the fact that they are there.
And they're able to interact with them?
Yeah, because it's hard for me to interact with my own brother. So, yeah.
And I don't think you realized how much you overachieving in sports and trying to fill the role of Darin was affecting you until about middle school.
Yeah, definitely. Whenever I found my place in sports, that was kind of the time where I quit dancing. I think the main reason why I stayed in dancing so long, it was because I loved like competing. I loved trying to better myself and staying fit and everything. But I also feel like it was because the one thing that Darin really identified with was music. And with dance, like he could come to my recitals, he could watch because the music would make him like happy and excited, and it was the one thing that he didn't like completely go off on. And then with volleyball, he didn't really come for games at the very beginning, but the more my schedule started getting busy, the more he started coming in and watching games, and we started exploring with that.
Now he kind of goes to bed at the time.
Yeah, because the games are late.
And not on the weekend, so that's changed.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else that you want people to know about your brother? Or how to treat people with special needs?
I don't know, just like even if you don't really want to talk to people, like for me at school, like people will come up and talk to me that are in the special needs class, and they do interact with people in sometimes mean ways. Maybe it's not on purpose, but you just have to put that positivity in their life, because at home, like especially with people at school, they're just kind of thrown into that system. They don't have that constructive base, that constructive foundation. You need to be that positivity in their life because they don't have that at home. So just be nice and don't like make fun of people because of how they act, because sometimes how they act isn't actually how they feel.